Well, the Arizona Cardinals are deciding to go and chase ghosts. Klint Kubiak, that interview was supposed to happen. If it ever does, will it mean they could lose Mike LaFleur? Plus, Dillon Brooks continues to change the culture of the Phoenix Suns. How do they get big wins like they did last night? I'll explain it to you on this edition of the Ben Garcia Show.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up, guys? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. As you guys can tell, I am losing my voice. I've been sick all week. I keep getting sick, and a little bit late to the show this morning. There's a good reason for that. I can't share it with you. I don't think I'm allowed to, but that's okay. We got a lot of things to get into. You're not interested to hear why I'm late this time. With that being said, let's dive right into it. Do me a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. I also do think it is hilarious in the chat that you guys are making fun of me for saying that he's always late. Thank you, Michael Evans in the chat, who hasn't been here. Javi, come on, Ben, let's go. I'm here. Yep, it's always late. Sometimes that happens. That's just life sometimes. Anyways, with that being said, let's start here. So the Arizona Cardinals, Ben's new name, Daddy. That's hilarious. All right. So the Arizona Cardinals are going through with their interview of Klint Kubiak this weekend. I did an emergency podcast on this the second it came out. I don't do a lot of emergency podcasts. And the reasoning why I don't is because there usually isn't a reason that I need to get to it right away. Whether it's a big trade, whether it's something massive that happened in the Arizona sports landscape, I normally will. But the Klint Kubiak stuff was so asinine that I had to come out here and take a stand on it immediately. I had to come out here and say how stupid this was. And I was afraid that I might have been the only person who felt this way. And I'm happy to say that I wasn't alone, even though I thought I was going to be. The idea, like, the Arizona Cardinals are the kid that the hot girl at school asks out, but she says she can't be seen with you. So you have to go to very far places to actually go on a date with her so that you don't run into anyone that you guys might know. Or if you are around, you can't be seen with her. Hiding in the bushes, not getting the time of day, all those sorts of things. The Cardinals need to take a hint. Are you seeing all the reporting? Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Jeremy Fowler. It got so bad that yesterday, I'm sure Klint Kubiak's camp had to put out into the ether, well, no, that's not true. Elijah Invero, he could potentially be the Raiders. He could potentially be the Raiders' next guy. Right. That makes sense. Klint Kubiak has no interest in being an Arizona Cardinal. And for the people out there that are... Here's the other thing. Did we see Anthony Campanelli drop out of this race and go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Is it not more obvious than ever before that he dropped out of this because the Cardinals were pussyfooting around? couldn't make up their mind. It is genuinely embarrassing what the Arizona Cardinals are doing. You know, they keep talking about this new Wi-Fi that they've got and how it runs super fast. I'm starting to think the Arizona Cardinals are working out of a bunker 100 feet down in Area 51 where they haven't seen the light of day since they fired Jonathan Gannon. That's the only way it would make sense that Michael Bidwell doesn't see all the bad press and Monty Osfort doesn't see all the bad press coming their way right now. But I'll take it a step further when we talk about Klint Kubiak. Klint Kubiak should not be the Arizona Cardinals head coach. Now, I have said from the beginning, he is my number one target for the Arizona Cardinals. He's my number one target. But I guess I should have added this caveat, which is if he wants to be here. I've seen Cardinals fans lay out. Well, if you give him complete control, if you give him $16 million a year, if you give him this pitch of an offer that Michael Bidwell has never even came close to before, then he might join your organization. I don't want Klint Kubiak joining the Arizona Cardinals solely based off of money. And that would be the only reason that he would come here. As much as I like Klint Kubiak, there's no world where he should be the Arizona Cardinals head coach. I know I've mentioned before that he's my number one guy, and he is on paper. But I should have added the caveat of if he wants to be here. And all the reporting, and not just from people who have spotty records like Tony Pelini, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Jeremy Fowler, all of them in unison. He wants the Raiders job, and if he got the Cardinals job, he'd probably go back to Seattle. If the only way the Arizona Cardinals can get Klint Kubiak is by giving him $15 million a year, complete control in the organization, hell, stake and ownership at this point, I don't want him here. If there's anyone that knows the dysfunction of the Arizona Cardinals, it is Klint Kubiak. He's been here. He's seen the facilities. He's taken advantage of their pathetic nature 2 times a year. I'm out on that. I don't want someone to be here because they feel like they have to be here because they're making a certain dollar amount. I want them to be here because they want to be here. And I think there have been coaches like Sean Payton who have wanted to be here, but also wanted to get paid. And the Cardinals weren't willing to do that. This is what makes Mike LaFleur so much more interesting than Klint Kubiak. Do I think he is a better head coach? No, I don't. At all. I think there are real question marks with Mike LaFleur. I see my guy Javi in the chat, and he told me, well, Ben, you didn't like at first Mike LaFleur. I didn't like Mike LaFleur. Or I guess I shouldn't say that. He was never in my top guys. But as the weeks went on, the days went on, the seconds went by, and everyone was saying no to the Cardinals, I understood that this is probably the best the Arizona Cardinals could do. Now, that doesn't change my mind that there's clear concerns with Mike LaFleur. He's never called plays with the Los Angeles Rams. When he did call plays, it blew up in his face. To be fair, it's the New York Jets. And you kind of wonder why he hasn't gotten a head coaching opportunity yet. Now, if it was a combination of he wants a little bit more money and he wants to be here, I'd be okay with paying Mike LaFleur more money. To be honest with you, I don't care what the Arizona Cardinals pay a head coach. It's crazy to me that there are people out there that do the well, I don't want John Harbaugh because he got $15 million a year. Or he got $20 million a year. He got over $100 million. He's not worth that. What do I care? Coaches are the only things that I don't care if you spend too much money on. Does it count against the salary cap? And it's not my money. What do I care? On one hand, you have all the reporting that Klint Kubiak doesn't want to be here. And if he doesn't want to be here, and if he doesn't want to embrace the challenge of being the Arizona Cardinals head coach, you shouldn't want him here either. You might like a girl a lot or a guy a lot. Convincing them to go out with you and you'll do everything they ask, I'm good. I'm good. It's better to bring the person on that wants you, even if they're a little less attractive than the other person. So I don't want Klint Kubiak here if it's just for money or just control. If he wants to be here, then great. But this is neither here nor there. Look at the reporting. Look at the writing on the wall. This is not due diligence by the Arizona Cardinals. This is just complete and utter incompetence. You see very clearly with your eyeballs just what Klint Kubiak thinks of you. And there's no other reporting to prove otherwise. And so when I see people sometimes say with the Klint Kubiak situation, well, the Cardinals must know something the Raiders don't. And my question to that is, what? What do they know? Outside of Klint Kubiak whispering in their ear, hey, no, I secretly do want to meet with you too. This Raiders thing, it's not a done deal. To be honest with you, I think the Klint Kubiak situation is funny because there are Raiders fans out there making fun of the Arizona Cardinals fans, Raiders fans and media making fun of the Cardinals fans and media. And it's like, I think it's more likely Klint Kubiak goes back to Seattle. It's not like the Raiders are this amazing job. They're not. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. They're a terrible organization. Their owner has as little money as Michael Bidwell. So I've been against that from the get-go. I don't think they're a great job. I'll be honest with you. I was higher on Fernando Mendoza, a month ago before I watched the college football final. Like, golly, Miami really gave it to him. But Miami's really good still. I don't think he takes either job. I think he hears both out. I think he's using the Cardinals as leverage. I think he's using it to get more money, more control. But let's call it what it is. He ain't interested in being here. Not one iota. So it's time to lay down that pipe dream. But the Arizona Cardinals, who are working out of a bunker over the last 4 weeks since they fired Jonathan Gannon, have no idea what's going on. Also, here's the other thing too. The optics of hiring Mike LaFleur now look terrible. They look terrible. Now you're going to, if they hire him, I don't know. Mike LaFleur might go, peace out Seacrest style, like Anthony Campanelli did, and just drop out of the race altogether. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll stay in. I think he understands that this might be his one shot at being a head coach. And I still think he gets the job. As each day goes by, that goes down a little bit more. And not because they're going to get Klint Kubiak, but because they're going to blow the situation with Mike LaFleur. But the optics of hiring Mike LaFleur now look terrible. You are going to... We already know you lie all the time. We already know you're a BS organization. But you are going to try to sell everyone in the press conference, whenever that is, that Mike LaFleur was always your guy. And that just clearly wasn't true. Because you met with him, you wined and dined him for a couple of days. Let's call it what it is. You probably took him to the nearest Chuck E. Cheese and then asked him to split the bill. And then you said, hey, we're interested in you. But we're going to go talk with Kubiak first. I know some people out there think that's not a big deal. Maybe people don't operate the same way I do. I love to prove people wrong. I love to reject people who reject me. Is it petty? Yes. Is it probably not a great quality of me? Sure. But there are people in this media market who I will never look at the same way again because they've said something to me, personally, or they cut me from a job. I want to succeed past them. And I am not the type of guy that if you break up with me, that if you cut me from a job, whatever, I will not go back to you. I've got too much pride, which is not a good thing. I have too much of a stubborn nature. Again, not a good thing. If I was Mike LaFleur, I can promise you I would have dropped out of the race. I can promise you. You're telling me you don't want me. Even if I know Klint Kubiak is a better candidate than me. You're telling me you don't want me. Okay. Good luck with that. Go elsewhere. Go elsewhere. I will prove you wrong. And as each day goes by, if I'm Mike LaFleur, when you combine it with the dysfunction of the Cardinals organization and the fact that they are publicly saying, we like you, but not as much as that guy, who also doesn't want me, the optics of it are terrible. And for a Mike LaFleur hire, and for a Mike LaFleur hire that a lot of people were excited about, not because he's the best hire, but you can make an argument it's the best they can do. Descendant of Sean McVay. We know he's got some success in his background. Comes from the Rams organization. Could potentially bring a star-studded cast with him. You can get excited about that. But all I can think about now is, how bad did Mike LaFleur's interview go that they're still looking other directions? And that's not fair to Mike LaFleur, because it's probably not true. However, this is what the Cardinals lead me to believe. This is what they lead me to believe. That they are dysfunctional, that they have no idea how they want to handle themselves. It's crazy. It's absolute insanity, actually. I want to take a second to look at the chat briefly. And basically, I'll still, just so we're clear, I'll still be excited about Mike LaFleur. But I will have thoughts in the back of my mind like, why didn't you wrap this up immediately when you had the chance? And that's frustrating. I haven't looked at the comment section. There are 75 comments in here. Just want to see if I missed anything really quickly, and then we'll move on to something else. Unless something big comes out. I don't see Klint Kubiak coming here. He has no shot. Is Ben at Chick-fil-A getting breakfast? Chick-fil-A hurts my stomach, buddy. So no. I don't necessarily matters. I don't know if it necessarily matters who talks to Kubiak first. It does, but whatever. Knowing Bidwell, he's going to lowball Kubiak. Dude, it'd be so funny if the reporting comes out, they meet with Kubiak, and he was actually interested in the job. But it comes out that Michael Bidwell offered him $6 million a year. And that was his godfather offer. That was his take it or leave it offer. It's just funny. That's just funny. If anyone has any other Cardinals, Ben has a case of the bubble guts. You guys are funny people, man. Do me a favor. If you guys have any more questions about the Cardinal stuff, I'll get to it in about 10 minutes. I want to talk about that Phoenix Suns win last night. And I'll get to all your questions at the end, Suns or Cardinals related. But I want to talk about this Suns team. So on Locked On Phoenix Suns, I mentioned that when Devin Booker and Jalen Green went down, that it wasn't the end for the Phoenix Suns. One, because we didn't know the severity of their injuries. Turns out they weren't as bad as we thought. And two, they have something that they haven't had in multiple seasons. A culture and an identity to lean back on. The Suns have not had that. So when Devin Booker went last year, when Kevin Durant goes out, what are they? What are they? What do they do well? The Suns' identity last year was just talent. And that's not an identity. Because oftentimes, talent is just that, talent. It doesn't get you anywhere. Instead, the Suns have an actual identity and a culture. And the identity is, we are going to try harder than you 150 times out of 100 times. And defensively, we are going to push you around. That's the Suns. And so when Devin Booker and Jalen Green aren't in the lineup, in the rotation, that can still happen. Now, their way of winning becomes a little bit more different. And their margin of victory becomes smaller. And their ways they can win, that window gets smaller. But still, you find a way to do it. And last night is a perfect example of this. No Jalen Green, no Devin Booker, and the Suns go belt to ass against the Detroit Pistons. In the first half, they got up 19 points. In the third quarter, it got a little dicey there. It got a little concerning. But then came in Dillon Brooks, who, just so we're clear, I don't think there's anyone on this Phoenix Suns roster who has understood the moment quite like Dillon Brooks has. All season, Dillon Brooks has answered the bell. One of the reasons why the Devin Booker and Jalen Green injuries were such a big deal was because it also came when Dillon Brooks was slumping. Look at Dillon Brooks's field goals made, field goals attempted before those guys got injured. Here, I'll bring it up for you. Dillon Brooks statistics. Before the Miami Heat game, where the Suns played their first game with Jalen Green, Devin Booker. This is what Dillon Brooks' field goals made versus field goals attempted were. 5 for 14 against the Wizards, 11 for 24 against the Heat, 4 for 16 against the Pistons, 2 for 13 against the Knicks, 8 for 15 against the Nets, 2 for 13 against the 76ers, 4 for 18 against the Hawks, 11 for 20. And then when those guys went out, he immediately goes up to 11 for 23, 9 for 15, 13 for 22. That is called understanding the moment. That is called when Dillon and when Devin Booker or when Jalen Green and Devin Booker are out, knowing that your number is going to be called and you have to carry them offensively. No one has understood the moment this year quite like Dillon Brooks has on this Suns team. No one. And it's one of the reasons why we talk about why he should be an all-star. Because early on in Devin Booker's career, I think there are a lot of new Suns fans. And I think those Suns fans that jumped on in 2021, there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't think they remember the early parts of Devin Booker's career. And one of the reasons why Devin Booker could not get into the All-Star game until, I think it was like the 2019 season. And just so we're clear, he was an injury replacement twice. One of the reasons was he was on a bad team and he had good stats. And the voters were like, no, your team's got to be a little better. Despite the fact that we're letting Trae Young in, whose team was terrible. And it was a double standard. That's fine. But then let's keep the same energy for Dillon Brooks. You subtract Kevin Durant. You add Dillon Brooks. You shouldn't be this much better. And statistics aren't going to measure out what he does defensively for this team. Not to mention his career year shooting from the field. His highest in points per game allowed. His highest in points per game in his career. It's clear Dillon Brooks deserves a spot. Because you can't measure statistics from someone who is a culture changer and a winning player. Now, this isn't saying, he's got 14 points a game. He's got 20 points a game, a career high. He's averaging a career high from the field. And you want to keep him out. His stats aren't as great. His team's winning games. That's what I was told was the barometer for success with Devin Booker. Now, that's asking the voters to be consistent in anything, and they have no interest in doing that. The only thing the voters are consistent on is that they're not consistent. And I'm just of the belief that Dillon deserves that right to be in there. And I thought yesterday was here's the difference. Every week when I talked about the Arizona Cardinals, I would use the same term over and over. This was the most embarrassing and excruciating loss of the season. This is the most embarrassing and worst loss of the season. The Cardinals take that as a personal challenge. And they say, wait a second. You think that's the worst we can do? Wait till next week. And they would make the next loss even more embarrassing or even worse than the last. The Phoenix Suns are the exact opposite. They have a win one week, and you say to yourself, they can't top that. That's the best win of the season. That's the most impressive win of the season. And then the very next week, the next win is even better or even more impressive. Guys, last night's win was more impressive and a better win than beating OKC. Just so we're clear, beating OKC is nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to scoff at. It's probably their second best win of the season. But when you go into a game without two of your three best players and you dominate them and you lead the game for, statistically speaking, 95% of it, without your two of your three best players, one of them being Devin Booker, I mean, that's more impressive. Here's the other thing. If the Suns were in the Eastern Conference, is it a hot take to say they'd be the best team in the Eastern Conference? They already beat the top two seeds in the Knicks and the Cleveland and the who might say who they just played? The Detroit Pistons. I don't know, man. I don't think it's crazy to think that. And I think what the Suns did last night was so impressive. And the Dillon Brooks culture-changing aspect that he has done to this team, even I wasn't expecting it. And I've been a Dillon Brooks guy. I've been a Grayson Allen guy. I like the guys that everyone dislikes. For obviously various reasons. Not because they're bad players, but because they're kind of thorns in the sides of you, if you will. So very impressive win for the Phoenix Suns last night. And I'm not sure how you top that. Maybe next game, maybe tonight when they play the Cleveland Cavaliers, they just do it without their entire starting lineup and then somehow find a way to win that game too. Because that's just what they do. Which, by the way, I think it's hilarious that Rockets fans were in my mentions as soon as Jalen Green and Devin Booker went down. And I don't think most rational Suns fans made any accommodations for that. I think most people said, next man up. This team has earned the right to prove you wrong. That's interesting. The Rockets lose Steven Adams. All I can hear is how unlucky they are. The Suns beat the Pistons without two of their three best players. Interesting. By the way, the Suns have wins against Oklahoma City, Detroit Pistons, New York Knicks, Lakers, numerous, the Timberwolves. They're beating good teams, really good teams. One of the best teams in the NBA against teams with over a 500 record. They've earned the right to prove you wrong. That's what they continue to do. Do me a favor, guys. If you have any questions in the chat, I will stay here for the next couple of minutes. My voice is shot. I've been sick all week. It's probably best for me to get off. If the Cardinals hire a head coach this weekend, I will do a live stream. I don't know what that's going to look like. But I will come on and do a show, an emergency podcast, if you will. If not, same time on Monday, 8 a.m., as well as Wednesday and Friday, 8 a.m. Let me see if I have anything in the chat. I'm sure I do. What other candidates do they have left if they don't get LaFleur or Kubiak? DJ Boogie, do we really want to talk about this? Do we really want to go down that rabbit hole? The answer is, I don't know. Anthony Weaver, Raheem Morris, I guess. But do we really want to go down that route? Guys, also do me a favor. Hit that like button for me. Helps me out tremendously. People who have confidence in themselves don't take sloppy seconds. Brian is right. Honestly, if I was LaFleur, I would tell the Cardinals to F off if they passed up on me. Now you guys get it. What's next? We're going to... Chili's. You guys are the worst. By the worst, I mean the best. Why go after someone who does not want to be here? Couldn't agree more. Kubiak doesn't want to be here. I don't want Kubiak here. With that being said, guys, Javi, better hope Seahawks don't talk to LaFleur about you could be the next OC. He can't just go be the next OC of the Seattle Seahawks. He would have to get permission from the Rams to take that job, and it's not a head coaching job. They wouldn't let him. That's like letting Clayton Adams. We saw this. Philly wanted to interview Clayton Adams, the OC of the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys said no. because they're not going to give you the same position. If you're getting a better position like head coach, they'll let you go because that's a bad optics. But they're not going to let you go be the OC of a different team. They're just not going to do that. We are screwed if we end up with Weaver or Morris. Actually, DJ Boogie, we're screwed anyways. So maybe put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right, guys, do me a favor. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. If you're watching on Twitter, do me a favor, go to YouTube. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. If you so do, please. I work really hard on this. And even when I'm sick, even when I can't speak, I'll be here. So with that being said, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Thank you so much for everyone being in here. My name is Benjamin Garcia. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. That's all social media platforms. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, at Ben Garcia Show. I'm there. Until Monday, unless the Cardinals hire a head coach, I'll do an emergency stream. My name is Benjamin Garcia. It's been the Ben Garcia Show. See you guys at 8 a.m. on Monday. Later.